Konnichiwa, origami fans, and welcome back to the Origami Beach Party brought to you by the Amherst Public Library. I'm your host, James Peake, and in this video, I'm going to teach you how to fold a Carp banner, which is used to commemorate Children's Day, which is a traditional Japanese holiday. This Carp banner is kind of like a windsock. You've probably seen these before at some point or another. And the model was designed by Akira Yoshizawa. Now I'm going to use a square of paper, and it is rather fitting that this model derives from a fish base. So here's how we make that. First, I'm going to take the bottom corner and fold it up to the top corner. Fold before you fold. Slide down the middle, go all the way out to one side, and then all the way out to the other. Next, we want to open the paper back up, and we're going to fold the paper into a kite base. And to do that, we're going to take one edge at the bottom here and kind of roll it up from the point to create a triangle flap. Okay, and let's do the same thing on this other bottom edge. Kind of turn it if you need to and roll it up so that that edge meets the center line. And once it's there, you can kind of start the crease at the corner maybe and make it nice and sharp. And that is a kite base. Next, let's flip the model over front to back, left to right. And we're going to take the bottom corner and bring it up to meet the top corner. Now we can flip the model back over to the other side. And notice that we have these two pockets. We're going to take one pocket at a time. And we're going to make a squash fold. So we have to kind of get underneath here and push this up. But what's going to happen is that we're going to bring this raw edge of the paper to the center line. So this is what it looks like. We're going to move this over like so, and you see this triangle flap that it makes. And the raw edge will now align with the center line. Now we do the other side. I'm going to spin mine around this way so I can get inside the pocket here and kind of pivot the paper outwards. And I'm going to spin it back this way so that I can now see the raw edge meeting the middle, and we're going to meet the corners here and here. And that, my friends, is how you fold a fish base. Next, we are going to take each of these two flaps that are sticking up at the top. We're going to fold them down a certain amount. And I want you to notice where this corner is in relation to where the crease happens. So I'm going to fold this down, and see I've got a little bit of an edge here from the corner. You want to leave that little bit of an edge. Do the same thing, bring the other flap down the same amount. And it's okay if it even lands a little bit off the center line, but still keep it pretty close. Now we are going to take each of these flaps, and one at a time we're going to fold them back out, but this time we will fold them out at a bit of an angle. Okay, so it'll kind of stick out a little bit to the side, like so, and do the same thing with the other flap, and you probably guessed that, or maybe you guessed that those are the fins of the Carp banner. That's why they call it a fish base, because we get those nice two flaps for making fins. Now, we are going to take the paper at the top and fold it down again to create a band. So the new crease is going to, see where my fingers are? The new crease is basically going to connect those 2 points. So we fold that down, and there we go. And I'll zoom in. And there it is. So it almost looks like a kind of like a cobra with 2 fangs. King Cobra. Okay, now we are going to go ahead and kind of wrap this into this sort of ring shape. So to do that, you kind of turn the paper over underneath here. We're going to kind of start to curve that band of paper that we made up at the top. Okay, and one of these corners, we're gonna fold it back just a little. Well, actually, here, yeah, we're gonna fold that corner back just a little bit, and that's going to be the side that we actually tuck into the other side once we wrap it all the way around. Now, for this step, I recommend that we use a little bit of glue, and you're going to want to probably let the model dry for a little bit after applying the glue before finishing up the model. All right, so I got my glue out, and I have a couple of clothespins. I really only need 1, but I grabbed 2 just in case. And what's going to happen here is we're going to wrap this corner with the tab on it around so that it fits underneath this flap here. You see how if you lift that up a little bit, you can kind of push that in. It's kind of hard to get it to go at first, but once you start to get it underneath that flap, you can start to push it in a little bit more. Now I haven't put any glue on here yet just because I want to kind of get the paper ready. The paper kind of knows what to do before I put the glue on the tab and insert it into the pocket. And you see how this is sort of bending like this? You kind of have to go in there and just keep kind of curving that edge of the paper so it becomes more like a circle and less like a teardrop or a Hershey kiss. Okay, so I think it's time to put the glue on here, so I'm going to just white glue works great. That's all this is here. I'm going to put a little drop in, just a dot, not a lot. All right, it's about all I need. And I'm going to wrap this in here. And I'm going to tuck it in maybe a little bit farther, but once it's in there, I'm going to make sure it doesn't slide around. Okay, so now I'm going to clip it and let it dry before I finish the rest of the model. All right, the glue is dry and we are ready to finish up the model. We only have a few steps left to go. And we mainly need to create the tail. So we've already got this flap of paper sticking back here. And what we need to do is create an inside reverse fold. So here's how we're going to do that. I'm going to use my thumb on this mountain crease edge, and I realize that these layers want to separate, but we want to try to keep them kind of together with the layer underneath. And we're going to take our thumb and we want to reverse a portion of this mountain crease running along the back of the carp. So here, I'm going to hold it with one hand like so. I'm going to take my other hand and I'm going to use my thumb to kind of push in that mountain crease to turn it into a valley crease. And you see how it starts to make half of the tail. So you can kind of make that as big or as small as you want, but we want it to point down at a little bit of an angle. And once we're kind of happy with where it's going, here, let me show you the rest of the model. I'm going to make mine go a little bit, make it kind of a little less steep there. There we go. I kind of like that. I'm going to give it a little squeeze. Now we don't want to flatten the whole model, obviously, but we want to just kind of give it a pinch along that reverse fold. And now the tail is pointing down. But now we've got another flap inside here that we can raise back up. So we want to get inside that inside reverse fold here. And if you get underneath that layer, you see how it separates into this nice fishtail? Then you can kind of get underneath, kind of push it up a little bit, and you can make a second flap. I want to point out that on this model, the other fin doesn't really stick out at much of an angle. In fact, I kind of put it right back into the original position. So you could do it that way, or you can kind of angle it. If you're good at this, you can kind of angle the back, the upper part of this tail back up like so. Now, there are so many different ways that you could attach your carp banner to a dowel rod, to a stick. You could use string, you could use twist ties. There's all sorts of different ways. So I'm just going to let you figure that out on your own based on the materials that you have available to you at home. I hope you enjoyed folding the carp banner. We've got one more video left in the series, and in the next video I'm going to teach you how to fold an original design, a stingray that I invented just last week. So I'm really excited to share this with you, and I'll see you in the next video.